Okay, so let's start our course today. So as you may have noticed that this course is entitled uh, reading selected readings of Indian philosophical texts. So that's the title of this course. So the purpose of this course is to lead everybody to reading the original texts of the very classical Indian philosophical texts. But unfortunately, since we don't have so much time to to digging into the those very difficult texts, instead we will read those texts finished in later times, so that we can have a very brief look into the systems of what we call as Indian philosophy. So today, as a uh, the first class and also as the introduction section, please let me have a very short and brief uh, introduction for the system of Indian philosophy. Uh, I don't know. I don't know if any one of you, have any experience of reading texts of Indian philosophy or not. Maybe as many of you have known or may have not known. Basically, we can divide all major philosophical systems that has existed or has been existing in India into two major subtypes. One, we should call it Astika. Um, Astika. 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 Yes, should be the long one. Astika. Astika. That means these schools, they admit the authority of Vedic texts. So I should write it here. Those who admit the authority of Vedic texts. And in contrast to these philosophers, there's also another major subgroup called Nastika. That means the opposite, those who do not admit the authority of Vedic texts. By not admitting the authority of Vedic texts, that means they also do not admit the so-called caste system of which was established by ancient Indo-Aryan people. And under the this subgroup of Astika, what philosophical schools belong to this subgroup? So please let me show overview. So first, as we may have heard it or not, the Orthodox school. That means the so-called 六派哲学. Basically six, yes, Orthodox schools, six, which includes Nyaya and also Vaisheshika. Okay. And then Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, and the final one is the Vedanta. But actually, I should everybody should be you should pay attention to this. The so-called six orthodox schools are not always these six. Usually, what always exists in this as under this astika is Nyaya Vaisheshika, and sometimes I think Mimamsa and Sankhya. These four are usually admit. But for yoga, or so-called Vedanta, they sometimes are not included into this astika, according to the different categorization. So what we know as today the most classical idea of the Orthodox schools are these six: Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, and Vedanta. And under this Nastika, we usually have Buddhism, Jainism, and sometimes we also include Charvaka. Charvaka, or the so-called Lokayata. In Chinese, we call this 顺世论. They are the materialism of ancient India. They only admit the real existing substance around us. So these are quite quite unique, I have to say. And many previous studies has shown that the Charvaka thinking or the Lokayata ideas are sometimes scholars usually believe that they were influenced by somehow the ancient Greek philosophy, but without very definite proof for this. But the so-called the cultural influence from ancient Greek is that is quite sure that such kind of influence must have happened. Okay, and we also should be notice that beside these two subgroups, the Astika and Nastika, there also exists many different other schools that how shall I say, difficult to be categorized under these two. And these other groups are usually more like a religious group, but they also do include many different philosophical thinkings, for example, such as the Shaiva, or called Shaivism, and Vishnuism. And sometimes we have what do we have? Yeah, these two are the major one, because even under the Shaivism, under Vishnuism, we have many different subgroups. So it's very difficult to really have a good categorization of these subschools. And so we can see that basically we have Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, Vedanta, Buddhism, Jainism, Charvaka or Lokayata, Shaivism, Vishnuism, and also, yes, I forgot, the so-called grammarian school. This is very this is very unique in India, I have to say. Actually, ancient Indian people they have a very uh, distinct or distinguished thinking on the grammar. I mean, usually the Sanskrit one. Many of these grammarians they have a very unique system of philosophical thinkings, and it has really much uh, influence on others philosophical schools, and this we can understand this by reading the original text, and we understand that the thinkings of grammarian school has been scattered into all these other philosophical schools, so its influence is very huge. Okay, that's a very brief uh, introduction for the before we read the original text. So today, the text we will read, is called the Tarka Sangraha. This is a later Nyaya manual, I have to say, a manual for students who want to learn the very starting point of the Nyaya school. So Nyaya, actually, the name of this philosophical school, it means somehow the so-called the correct principle, I have to say, Nyaya. Yeah, standard, method, rule. And this school actually focus very much on the logical inference and also on the philosophical of language. They focus mainly on these two, but the most important contribution of this school is on the logical thinking, how Indian people think logically. That was exactly demonstrated by the books written by the philosophers from Nyaya school. So the text Tarka Sangraha is written by a later so-called Nyaya philosopher, but actually I will call them Nayayika. This word shows that this person belongs to the Nyaya school and he is also a philosopher. So we call these people Nayayika, meaning the people who follows the Nyaya school and follow their doctrine. So we call them Nayayika. The author of Tarka Sangraha has the name Annambhatta. Annambhatta. This person is about, I have to say, he was alive around the 16th century AD, around this period. The reason I use this Tarka Sangha as the reading material is that this text is not so difficult for beginners to read. So that's the main reason I will choose it as our first textbook. Okay, now let us start. Let's start reading of this. The main text is actually written or printed in much more thickened lines like this, bold one. These are the main text. And this Atta Tarka Deepika is a later commentary on Tarka Sangraha. If we find that some of the words in the original text are difficult to understand, then we may refer to this commentary as our rescue, so that it will provide us with a much easier explanation of difficult words and sentences. Okay, let's start. So first we have this Mangala Shloka. Nidaya Hrdi Vishvesham Nidaya Guru Vandanam Balanam Sukha Bodhaya Kriyate Tarkasangraha. And also, we are very lucky to have a English translation of the text. Yeah, if any one of you is have not so much time to read the original text, you can refer to this English translation given by V.N. Zha. Or if you are good at German, you can read this Hulch's German translation. That's also good. So since this course will be taught in English, I'll mainly refer to this English translation. Okay, let's just see. So this here the author also gives the transliteration of the Devanagari text. So if any one of you feel the difficulty reading the Devanagari, you can also look at the Romanized one. So he says, having placed the Lord of the universe in the heart, Nidaya Hridi Vishvesham. So I think it's not not difficult for you to understand this grammatical construction of it. So I've seen somebody who has a this. Is it possible for you to share those material with us? Yeah, that's it's sure. I can put it in the cloud disk so that you all can download that. So having placed the Lord of the universe in the heart, Nidaya Hridini Vishvesham, so correspond to this. Then, and having performed the prayer of the teacher, Vidaya Guru Vandanam. Oh, so we have the word Vida. To perform or to speak out the prayer of the teacher. This guru actually the Anambada does not refer it to any specific Nayayikas, but also he may refer this word to the such kind of ideal image of ancient Nayayika scholars. Then the text called the Tarka Sangraha is being composed by me for easy understanding of the learners. Balanam Sukha Bodhaya. You have to see Balanam. Here, Bala means those who are not very good at understanding things, very young and stupid students who are not willing to learn the difficult but interesting theories of the Nayayika system for the purpose of their easy learning. Sukha Bodha. You see, Sukha Bodha. Sukha here is not the happiness, but the easy one. Easy one. Kriyate Tarkasa. For that reason, I write this manual called Tarkasangraha. That's the first, so-called the Mangala Shloka. Actually, in most cases, we will find one or even more Mangala Shloka before the philosophical texts. That's a kind of so-called a kind of typeset, I have to say, stereotype for those authors to compose such kind of treatise for students. Okay, that I think we do not have to look much into the commentary. Okay, then let's go to the next one. Let's see what's next. And sometimes we can also refer to Zhao's commentary on the text. So as you may have noticed, here the translator has explained to us actually Anambadam has included both Nyaya and Vaisheshika systems into this menu. Why did he do this? Because actually in the so-called six orthodox schools, we can also divide them into three pairs. So Nyaya can be paired with Vaisheshika, Sankhya with Yoga, Mimamsa with Vedanta. The reason for such kind of pairing is that these two, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, Vedanta, all three groups, I mean the three each, they have some kind of similarity with each other. That's why we can have such kind of grouping. Okay, so next verse, let's see. So here we can see two. This we do not have to do it too much. We just look into the main text. So, Dravya Guna Karma Samanya Vishesha Samavaya Abhava Sapta Padartha. Here is this word actually looks like the first Nyayika treatise, the Nyaya Sutra. Nyaya Sutra in the beginning introduces this concept of Padartha. This word is actually very important in the Nyaya Vaisheshika system. For now, I think we do not have a very good translation for this Padartha. Basically, for Buddhism, for Buddhists translating Buddhist texts into Chinese, they usually translate this into 句意, a kind of a word-to-word translation for this word, 句意. This one, 句意, because pada means a sentence, artha means the meaning, sentence meaning, 句意. But actually, this padartha here cannot mean really 句意. It has nothing to do with the sentence. So we can have a look if this English translation can provide us with any good ideas. So here he says 7 sets of reference or so-called entities. So for entities, we may call it so-called 实体. Or so-called sometimes we can call it and maybe it's not good to say 主体, the subject is not good because this is a philosophical text. If you say subject will be, this word may convey some different meanings for those who major in Western philosophy. So maybe we should call it entity or 实体 to refer to Padartha. So for Nyaya Vaisheshika, there are basically 7 different Padartha. What are they? Dravya, substance, guna, quality, karma, action, samanya, universal, vishesha, the individual or particular, samavaya, inherence, and abhava, absence. These 7 entities are somehow are scattered scattered all around the whole Nyaya Vaisheshika systems, and especially for Vaisheshika, they always discuss the so-called the materialism-like discussion of these things, whether they do exist or not. Okay, this is the second sentence of this text. The third one, Tatra Dravyani Prithvi Aptejo Prithvi, aptejo, vai, tejo vai, vakasha, kala, dik, atma, manansi, navaima. Okay. So he says actually uh, under the category dravya, under substance. Yes, dravya, or we should call it substance. There are actually 9 different substances for Nyaya Vaisheshika. What are they? The first one, Prithvi, the ground, the earth, actually. Maybe to translate as earth is much yes, like a element, the original elements, the earth, and then water, Prithvi, up. And then what do we have? Tejas, the fire. It's not the brilliance or light, but here it means tejas means fire, because fire is always flaming. Because this tej really means to flame, to be brilliant. So the fire is always giving us heat and brilliance. So this tejas here refers to fire. And then vayu, that's air actually, or wind, it is okay. Akasha, ether, 虚空, and kala is the time, and dik, the space, and atman, it's the soul or the self. And the final one is manansi, the mind. Yes, it's manas, it's our mind. So it has 9 different dravya, or the substance. In this Vyenja also carefully gives us such kind of graphs so that we can understand it much better. Also, for the previous section, he also had this one. So you can see the padartha, the so-called, he called it referent or entity, this universe. It has bhava and abhava. So under bhava, the positive existence, we have dravya, guna, karman, samanya, vishesha, samavaya, 6. Under this absence, we have different things, but these we will discuss them in later texts. So we will just leave it here. Okay. Then we go to the next section. Let's see. The 4th one. Oh, it's not good. Here is some printing mistakes given by the scanners. So I will refer it to here. Okay, so we can see the text 4 is discussing about this gunas, or so-called de. Actually, this translation of de is also used by Buddhist translators. They will translate guna as the virtue. But actually, if you want to understand more correctly, it should not be translated as de, but better to understand as 性质, quality. So you can see that here he refers to about 24 different gunas. So we'll have a look. What are these? Rupa, rasa, gandha, sparsha, sankhya, parimana, prataktva, sanyoga, vibhaga, paratva, aparatva, gurutva, dravatva, sneha, shabda, buddhi, sukha, dukkha, ichha, dvesha, prayatna, dharma, sanskara, chaturvinshati guna. Totally 24 different gunas. So what do we have? Color, the rupa. The taste. This rupa is somehow, I really doubt this translation of color. It can be both the color or the real physical form, actually, for the rupa. But it's difficult to tell which is better. Maybe color is better here. So this time we can refer to the, if there's any rescue for us in the commentary, we have a look. But unfortunately, they do not have such kind of things. So it's difficult to tell. And maybe the German one we can also have a look at. What do we have? Gebet, that's the categorization, padartha. Okay, we have the need to look at the fourth one. Escaped, yes. 24 Qualitäten, Guna. So here, Hush also translates this Guna, there's the Rupa as Farbe, color, yes. So here we should understand that Rupa not has the physical form, but as the color, the green color or red color or yellow color. Yeah, it's color, Rupa. Rasa, taste. Ganda, smell. Sparsha, touch, to touch you. Sankhya is the number, and the Parimana, the size. Prataktva, the separateness, and Sangyoga, contact. Vibhaga, disjunction. Paratva, aparatva, remoteness and nearness. Actually, maybe not nearness, but vicinity, maybe. Remoteness, vicinity, or nearness. Well, it depends on how you choose the word. Gurutva, heaviness. Dravatva, it's the fluidity. The sneha, moisture. Shabda, sound. And buddhi, cognition. Sukhad, here is the pleasure, but not easy. Here is the pleasure. Dukkha, pain or torture. Ichha, the desire. Dvesha, volition. No. Dvesha is the comes from the word dvish. Dvesha. The hatred or dislike, some enmity. Yeah, something like that. It's opposite to ichha. Prayatna, the volition, also called the effort. I don't know if you know this expression in Buddhist text, actually. The so-called 勤勇无间所作行. Here, this qin actually, I think this qin is the translation for prayatna, which means effort, actual effort. This word is actually very common in Buddhist philosophical texts. 勤勇无间所作行. Very common. So this is prayatna, the volition or the effort. Dharma, adharma, merit and demerit. Sanskara, the impression. This impression or sanskara, sometimes it is translated as 识. This one, 识, sanskara. So these 24 are the 24 different gunas for the Nyaya Vaisheshika system. Okay. Let's go to the next one. So the fifth. Utkshepana, avakshepana, akunjana, prasarana, gamanani, panja karmani. So there are actually 5 different actions for Nyaya Vaisheshika. What are they? Throwing up, throwing down, contracting, that's the akunjana, expanding, that's the prasarana, and moving, gamana. These are basically how these philosophers considers about the real actions that can be observed among in our daily life. The utpreksha, something going up to the sky, and apakshebana, something going down, and this akunjana, contracting. Yeah, if you see some kind of fresh fish under the very hot sun, it will contract because of the loss of water. That's so-called akunjana. Prasarana is expanding. If you put some kind of dried sausage into water, it will expand after 1 or 2 hours. And gamma is to move everything as we even walk, as we human walk into some place, that's the moving gamma. So these 5 are the very fundamental actions observed by Nyayikas. Okay, so 6. Param aparam cheti dvividam samanyam. That's so-called pervader and pervaded are the 2 types of universal. Or this universal can be translated as generic property or class forming property, this samanya. My personal preference is to translate it as universal, and the vishesha as the individual, or the maybe individual is better, individual. So we have param, aparam. Yeah, param, aparam are the 2. Yes, the pervader and the pervaded. But the problem with that, why this para can be this pervading or this pervaded thing? It actually, we have to look at the commentary. So here you can see this Deepika, Tarka Deepika, says Samanyam Vibhajati to explain what is Samana. He says the sutra begins with Param and so on, and says Param Adika Desha Vritti, Aparam Nyuna Desha Vritti, Samanyadi Chatushtaye Jatir Nasti. So para here actually means adika desha. It exists in the so-called adika, very primary location, and apara actually is nyuna, a inferior location actually. So that means para is in a higher place than apara. Okay, there's no problem for this. And so next we can have a look what is vishesha. Nitya dravya vrtayo visheshas tu ananta eva. What is vishesha? That means however, so he has a two here actually. This two should be separated to express a kind of however, but like meaning. So however, the visheshas, or the so-called the individual thing, the individual occurring in all permanent substances are innumerable. Ananta. Ananta. It has no limits and no ends. Yeah. Nitya. Always existing in the substance. Permanent. Permanent existing. So that's what we call Vishesha. Samanya and Vishesha actually usually are paired together, and we always need to understand these two uh, as a so-called pair concept. They will also appear in later texts, so we have to remember all these things. So maybe you may have noticed that usually these manual for students to learn a kind of philosophical school, the author will usually introduce some very basic concepts in the beginning to let students have a very brief understanding of the system. So until now, we are still in the section of very beginning of the whole manual. But as we will read on, we'll find much more complicated discussions of different concepts and how we understand how the world, how we should understand the dynamics of our world. So it will also teach us in later part. Okay, let us continue. And next one, samavayas to ekaiva. So the samavaya, the inherence or the so-called permanent relationship called the inherence is only one. We only have one samavaya, that is the samavaya itself. That's the what we should know, the samavaya. Okay, now this Vienja gives us some different very interesting graphs for us to understand this relation. So when we should realize the existence of inherence, it gives some five different occasions. The first one, when there's the relation between quality and substance, this quality actually is inherent in the substance. Such kind of relationship, we should call it inherence. And second, inherence also exists between an action and its agent or subject. So when a substance is having some action, yeah, this action we can say this action is inherent in this substance. And also between the relationship between the universal and the particular. This I have to say a little bit abstract. Maybe let me explain it somehow. For Indian philosophers, they always believe that I mean, not all of them, but some of them, they believe that a universal exists. What is a universal? For example, if we have a cow, so cow, a single cow, that is a particular or an individual. But what is the universal in this cow? That's the cowness. Cowness. But actually, in English, we do not have such kind of concepts. What is cowness? In Sanskrit, we will call it gotava. Gotava. Go is the word for cow, and tva means some kind of quality possessed by such kind of thing. But then you may ask, what is actually a cowness? What makes a cow a cow? That we should have a consideration on that. Maybe you will say that a cow should be called cow because it can produce milk, or because it has some kind of breast, or dewlap, because it has some uh, it can produce young cattle, or many different definition for us to understand what makes a cow a cow. So these very specific thing, they when we combine them together, that will form what I have written here as Gotva, the cowness, or we can say 牛性. We have a single cow, but actually in every single different cow, we have a universal cowness Gotva. And the relation between the universal and the particular. Because since there's a universal existing in a particular or in an individual, we should call such kind of relationship as inherence. So, universal is inherent in a particular or in an individual. You may call it 共性, it's okay, but well, maybe to say this is just too early for you. Maybe some of you have realized this so-called 共性, the general quality shared among one species. Yeah, I mean this goat, but we will deal with it later. The fourth one, inherence also exists between a whole and its part. This may be also very abstract. For example, we have a table, actually. We have a wooden table. A wooden table, it can be regarded as a whole. It can be regarded as a whole. Therefore, we should have this wholeness, the so-called tableness, or the concept of a table. We have this thing. But when you want to divide this table into timber, into different wooden bars, timbers, into timber. But the problem will be that all these broken timbers, do they have a naturally inherent tableness in themselves? Actually, for Nayayikas, they believe that this tableness has already existed in all these broken timber. If you do not understand this, I will say it again in Chinese. 我们说这个正理派的人，他们会认为，就是说你比如说原来有一个木头的桌子，对吧？木头桌子呢，他会认为它是一个整体。那么这个整体它会自带一个叫做桌性的东西啊，或者说是你认为这种对于桌子的概念啊，桌子这种组成桌子的可能性这种东西，这个组成桌子的可能性或者这个桌性，它事实上对于这个正理派人来说，他认为是存在于这个桌子的任何一个组成部分当中，你只要把这些组成部分全部拼起来，对吧？你哪怕拆开了，它也存在这个桌性啊，你拼起来就是一个完整的桌子。所以他会认为就是事先这个 桌子就是些木头里面，它是已经存在组成这个桌子的可能性。不管你怎么做，它都有一种存在，就是组装成桌子的可能性啊。不管你是怎么样。Okay, this is the in I have explained this very simply in Chinese. So this is a so also a kind of inherence. The fifth one is the between the Vishesha Padartha and the permanent substance. So when a substance is permanent, it will have a specific Vishesha inherent in it. So these five, when we have these five occasions, we should realize that there is the existence of the relationship of inherence, the so-called samavaya. Samavaya. Okay, this is text 8, text 8. I've seen somebody saying that is it similar to the I don't know the word for this word 范式. Do you mean this paradigm or something? I do not know much about Western philosophy, really. So maybe any of you who may have learned some terms of Western philosophy, I hope you may explain it in this chat box, yeah, so that everybody can have a look at that. Okay, so up to now we have already introduced many different categories in the Nyaya Vaisheshika systems. And text 9 to introduce the concept of abhava, absence. So abhavascha turvida, it has 4 different kinds. Prag abhava, pradvansabhavo, atyanta bhavo, anyonya bhavashcheti. So 4 different kind of absence, says pre-absence, destruction, absolute absence, and mutual absence. Seems also not very easy to understand, so we also have a look at the commentary. It's better to have a look at commentary. But unfortunately here, it does not have much things to say, yeah? So we'll have to refer to this English translation. Let's have a look if it says anything of it or not. Okay, what is a pre-absence? Before a positive entity is produced, there has to be a pre-absence of that entity in its parts, and after that positive entity is produced in its parts, that pre-absence is destroyed. This is the first variety of absence called pre-absence. One good example is to say that for one day a person wants to make a water jar. Let me say water jar made of mud. Before this water jar is produced, we should say there is the absence, there is the pre-absence of a water jar. Before it, I mean, before this person has produced a water jar, we should say that there is the pre-absence of a water jar because it's a positive entity. And for this time being, we do not have a real water jar. It does not exist at this time period. Then, when this person has obtained much mud and starts to make this water jar, and finally this water jar is produced, then we should say this pre-absence has been destroyed. That's a pre-absence. Okay, again, what's this destruction? Again, when the positive entity is destroyed, there emerges an absence of that positive entity in its broken state. that absence is called destruction. And when we are referring to an absence which is existent in all the three times, present, past, and future, that absence is called the absolute absence. Okay. So when this water jar is broken, I mean, when this person thinks that I am tired of this water jar, I want to make a new one. So this what he decides to break it. So at the time point when he has broken this water jar, there is the destruction of this water jar. I think this is not difficult to understand. Okay, this is so-called destruction. And third one, the absolute absence. That means this water jar never has existed in the past, in the present, or and it will never be produced in the future. I mean, and so that means it does not exist now, it did not exist in the past, and it will not exist in the future. Then that kind of absence is called absolute absence. So it will so we can say it will never be produced actually, and it has not been produced in the past, and it is not produced yet. This is absolute absence. Okay. He also gave us some explanation. This absence is the third variety of absence. For example, there is no pot on the ground. Yeah. So in the past, there was no pot on the ground. Now there is no pot on the ground. And in the future, there will not be any pot on the ground. That's absolute absence. Okay. Although it is difficult to grasp as an absence existing in all the three times, present, past, and future, a little closer and analysis may not leave any scope for such difficulty. Okay. And the fourth one, the so-called mutual absence. So absence with each other. In this universe, every entity exists somewhere by some relationship. That is why we can say that by that relation, that entity does not exist in some other place. A pot can exist in some other place. A pot can exist on a specific ground by the relationship of contact. Please have a note. Please be please pay attention to this one. Contact. We have seen this word in the very beginning sutra. Samyoga. And when it does not exist by contact on another ground, we refer to that absence as absolute absence. Here, in fact, what we are negating is the relationship. That means the contact by which the pot rested. That means that on this ground, there may exist a pot, but on another, a different ground, which has no contact with this pot, there is the absence of this pot. that this kind of absence, we should call it mutual absence. That means that absence it basically depends on the relationship. So when the relationship does not exist, the real entity will also not exist. Will also be not exist. Okay, this is what we should know as the four different kind of absence. Actually, absence, the above is a very important, and also we can call it a key concept in even later development of the Nyaya school, especially in the Navya Nyaya, the new Nyaya schools. Okay. Then text 10. here we can see that how actually Nyaya Vaisheshika system to how they define different entities. So we can have a look at Gandavati Prithvi Sadvivida Nitya Nitya Jeti Nitya Paramanurupa Anitya Karya Rupa Punastrivida Sharirendriya Vishaya Vedat Shariram asmad adinam indriyam ganda grahakam granam nasa gravarti vishayo mrit pashanadi. Okay. So what is the earth actually? The earth is defined as Gandavati, that which has smell. You see, you can see a Prithvi. What is the earth? What is the so-called the element actually? We should call it the element. What is the element earth? That which has smell is the element earth. So the earth, we have two different subtypes. One is nitya, eternal, and another one is non-eternal, anitya. For the eternal forms of the earth, that takes the form actually here. We have seen that here the rupa is not the color but the form. Nitya form actually takes the form of Paraman, the how can I translate Paraman? In Chinese we call it Jiwei, very tiny atom, an infinitesimal particle or atom. Maybe it's better to say like this: an infinitesimal particle like this, so-called 极微. How large it is? 30 Paramanus are said to form a mote of a sunbeam. That's very tiny. So tiny that we cannot even have a correct observation of it by our eyes. Okay, that's the Nitya form of Prithvi. And for Anitya, it has the Karya Rupa. That means the non-eternal forms of the earth are all the production made of the earth. Karya is the result. And then Punastri Vida. Punastri Vida. And again, the earth in the form of the Karya, actually. It's form of the production or the product or the result. It can be, it is of threefold. It has three different subtypes. So the first one is the body, the sharira, body, our body, indriya, the sense organs, or so-called sensual organs. And the third one is Vishaya. Vishaya is actually what we should know as the gross object. This concept we will see later in this sutra. So what is Sharira actually? Sharira, the body. Sharira, asmat adinam, is just like what we know as ourselves, asmat, we. So when we refer to the word we or I, it really refers to your body or our bodies. This mortal body, or sometimes you can even say it as the self, but that's very rare. Here, the sharira must refers to this mortal body, and indriyam, the sense organs. It says, what is this? The sense organs are something that reveals the smell. Yeah, reveals the smell. Ganda grahakam. That thing, a thing that catches catches smells. For example, this grana, yeah, to smell the the function of smelling. That is actually, where is it? That is situated at the tip of the snow. When we need to smell something, you will have to use your nose. That means the nasagravarti. It is located situated at the tip of the nose in a minute form, a very tiny form. Okay, the third one, Vishaya. The objects made of earth are the gross form of earth, such as the murt, pasha, the stone, and something like that. Vishaya. That's the 10th sutra for us. And also this Vyenja also give us some explanation to this sutra. We can have a look at it. So actually we have also we can draw a graph for this. We have this locus called the earth, the Prithvi, the element earth. What the Annambata defines as earth is something that will produce smell. So smell actually is located in a locus called earth. That's the thing. Okay. Here he also mentions something here in the Navya Nayayika. I don't know if this is interesting for you or not, but I think if you do Western philosophy, Navya Nyaya is, I think, will be interesting for you. Although I myself do not really, is not a specialist on Navya Nayayika, but I think there are many Indologists who studies Navya Nayakas. I know some of them. Some are Japanese and Germans. Yeah, like that. You will meet them in some kind of philosophical academic conference. Okay, let's have a look at what he says. What is the idea of a definition? So here we have this very sharp question for ourselves. How should we define something? In what way should we define a thing that we do not know? So here the Vienja gives us some explanation. So definition is nothing but a property, dharma, by which we categorize the thing to be defined, lakshya. That property should be an uncommon or peculiar property, in the sense that it will include all members of that class of entities and will exclude all that do not belong to that class. How to achieve it? Please pay attention to this section, this paragraph. Here, actually, the word reminds me of the Buddhist way of defining things. I don't know if any of you knows how primordial Buddhist, I mean, in the really early stage of Buddhist philosophy, how Buddhists define something. I don't know if anyone of you know this concept or not. It is called apoha. Apoha has a Chinese translation. I don't know if it can be accepted by all of you or not, but I've seen people calling it 遮权. What is apoha? If you want to understand in an easy way, that is to exclude every property that does not belong to this class and finally you will reach the real definition of this class. But that's only a so-called sophisticated explanation for the real apoha has much more difficult. Is much more difficult than we can imagine. This is an early Buddhist way of defining something. Or you can say 遮遣. That's also a kind of explanation. 遮遣 or 遮权. But I should also remind all of you that the orthodox way of defining something is to list all possible properties for such classes. For example, if you want to define what is a cow, yeah, what is a cow? If somebody asks you what is a cow, how do you describe a cow to a person who has never who has no experience of observing a cow? How do you explain it to him? Maybe you will say that a cow is a kind of animal that with dew labs, yeah, it can produce young cattle. It has horns, two horns on its head, and it somehow looks like a cow will look like a buffalo, something like that. Yeah, you will see something. And when we explain these things to a person who has no experience of observing a cow, we will, the most convenient way for us to give a definition is to give all possible property of a class. That's the usual way for us to do. And then things has some things gradually changes when these Navya Nayayikas went to the stage. They offered a definition of a definition. What is a definition? You should define a definition. How to define a definition? So what's that? Asadharana dharma lakshanam. Asadharanatvam cha lakshyata avachedaka samaniyatatam. An uncommon or peculiar property is called the defining property lakshana of entity to be defined. And then the uncommonality or peculiarity is asadharanatva. You should pay attention to this. Asadharanatva. Uncommonality or peculiarity. I think that's a property that can make a class distinguished from other classes. So this asadharanatva of such properties stands for the state of being pervade and at the same time being the pervader of the property, which delimits the property of being the thing to be defined. So the key word is here actually. What is a asadharanatva? What is a peculiar property? It's a thing, yeah, that can delimit the property of being the thing to be defined. Avachedaka. This is also a very important term in Navya Nayayika. And also he also quotes something like samanyata tvancha lakshyata avachedaka vyapyatve sati. Lakshyata avachedaka vyapakatma. Also, yes. When they want to define something, they are always careful to express the definition correctly, accurately, So they will always be aware of the pervader and pervaded thing relationship, or so-called the universal pervasion. Here he also gives this one. So a goat, a cow, it is a lakshata, a thing to be a special or peculiar property to be defined. Now to say or to specify that this lakshata is in cow, a cowness, alone and not in any other entity at this moment, we should delimit this new property, namely lakshata, by some property present in cow, which is lakshya. That's the way we should say that avachedaka is very important. So here you see gotva. Gotva is actually, we should understand, as is delimitator. Yeah. Gotva, however, can serve such purpose because it exists only in cow and nowhere else. That's why we can say it is the avachedaka and it becomes the lakshata. Both of these exist in the class name called go, cow. The limitator of lakshata, of go. It delimitate lakshata. It's gotva. Okay. And then what we should have next in this graph. So gotva is what called the avachedaka of go. So gotva is the delimitator of a go. It makes a cow different from other things. That's a avachedaka. So avachedaka should be free from these defects. What defect? These are svabhavika dharma or innate natural property or something like that. So I did very many different so-called defects, so-called the over application. If this gotva exists in other kind of animals, then this gotva cannot be an avachedaka. So that's not correct. RT vyapti. Narrow application. Avyapti. If some species of cow cannot bear this avachedaka called gotva, then it's also not correct. Narrow application. And the non-application. If you apply a gotva to a completely different thing. For example, if you want to apply this cowness to a tree, that's also not a good application called non-application. Asamba, impossible. And then since this gotva has a limitation to lakshyata, and this lakshyata can be called avachinna, the past participle of this avachinna, avachedaka and avachinna. Both of these exist in Go. Okay. Seems somehow a little bit complicated. It starts to become a little bit complicated. But I think if you want to learn more, we should also continue reading this manual. Yeah. Okay. Then maybe we'll do our last sutra today, this text 11, since it's already 8:30. So we'll finish this and then leave it to the next class. Text 11. Shita sparsha vatya abah ta dvividah nitya anityascha. So what is water actually? Apa. Water is something that possesses shita sparsha. What is that? That's actually a very cold touch. If you have touch in the water, you will feel it's very cool and cold and has some sparsha on your on your hand. So that's why how they define water. It has two different subtypes. Nityah Paramanurupah, Anityah Karyarupa. Also, it the two different subtypes is like what we have seen in the definition of the earth, eternal and non-eternal, and the eternal forms of it is of these atoms of water, and this non-eternal form of water are the effects or products of uh, made of the water atoms. Punas three vidah. Again, it has three different types. Sharirendriya Vishaya Vedat can be divided into the body, the sense organs, and the gross matter. And then Shariram Varuna Loke. What is the body? The body of the water, actually. The body of the water can be found in what? Where can be found? It's in the world of Varuna. In the world of Varuna. Varuna is the god of water in ancient India. Varuna. And for Indriya, sense organ, what is that? Indriyam rasa grahakam rasanam jihva gra bharti. So the sense organ of this water atoms is the catcher of the taste. That exists in the tips of the tongue, jihva. So when you taste a water, the the its touch, its sparsh will comes to your tongue. You have a taste of what is water. What does water taste like? Yeah. And the vishaya, the object, the gross object made of water, is sarit samudrati, made of the water body. Sarit, yeah, sarit is the river, flowing river. That is the samudra, the river. Sarit is flowing water like rivers, like that, and samudra is the ocean. So the water bodies, the mass gross of water bodies are like rivers and oceans and so on. Yeah, that's the text. It's actually basically the same as what we have seen in the section of the Earth. Yeah, it's basically the same. Okay, and I think that's all for today. Yeah, so today we have read some beginning part for this Nyaya Vaisheshika manual called the Starka Sangraha, written by Anambata in the 16th century. Yeah, it's a very easy and simple manual for students as their introduction textbook. And I hope every one of you have some have some good experience in and have a good time reading the original Sanskrit text. That's my first purpose to let all of you read the original text and to see what is expressed, what kind of philosophical thinkings are expressed among these words. Yeah. So we see actually the construction of later Nayayika philosophy is very delicate and complicated. Okay, any questions for today's readings? Do you have any questions? Any question is okay. And the text, I will share it in the cloud disk so that all of you can download it. Yeah, it's not so difficult to get this book. Okay, if there's no other questions, we'll just finish our course today. And thank all of you for attending this first lesson of the selected readings of in Indian philosophy. And I hope we can meet in later lessons. And I hope all of you can continue reading with me so that you can have a very brief but solid summary and or observation of the whole system of Indian philosophy. Okay, that's all for today, and thank you all for your attendance. Yeah, so let's meet about 2 or 3 weeks later. Yeah, this class will be held every 2 weeks actually. So next week will be the intermediate Sanskrit, and next week will be the history of Sanskrit literature, and next one is again the readings of philosophical texts. Yeah, that's the three different courses in turn will be held in turn. Okay, that's all for today, and thank you for your listening. Yeah, so let's meet about 3 weeks later. Bye bye.